What's going on, Cal fans? This is Burke18, and this week I'm back with a football film study, looking at our defensive performance against the Oregon State Beavers. Now, to my mind, there's no clearer contrast in this game for showing us the difference between the defense that we ran in 2016 under Art Kaufman and the defense that we had in 2017 under coaches Wilcox and DeRuyter. Just to get into the stats a little bit, in 2016, Oregon State scored 47 points against us, they rushed for 474 yards, and they did it at 9.5 yards per carry. Fast forward to 2017, and they scored 24 fewer points, almost 400 fewer rushing yards, and we cut their yards per carry by about 2/3. The really significant thing about this is that we did it even though both teams had a lot of familiar faces. In this video, I'm going to show you how our coaches were able to identify the thing that Oregon State was most likely to beat us with, namely the run by Ryan Nall, and how they came up with a simple plan to take that away. Before we get into all that, though, I do want to give a quick shout out to Oregon State's staff. At this point, by the time they played us, they were in the middle of a very rough season, but they were still clearly playing to win and to have a little bit of fun. Within their first 15 offensive plays, for example, they hit us with a wide receiver pass to Ryan Nall out of the backfield, and then with a flea flicker, as we see right here. It's also clear that Oregon State had scouted us really well. So if you watched my video 2 weeks ago, you'll remember that Colorado used the 3 receivers to the strong side to clear out space for a crossing route coming from the backside. Early in the game, Oregon State tried to run the same concept at us, but because we were playing different coverages, as I'll talk about later, this play was less successful, and so they couldn't use it as much as Colorado did. On top of some of these strategies that they apparently got from watching our earlier games, they also added in some new passing concepts of their own that we hadn't seen that much this year, and in fact they were able to pass for twice as many yards in 2017 as they were the year before. In spite of some of these nice gains, Oregon State's passing offense wasn't consistent enough to be able to win the game on its own. Indeed, a lot of the times the execution wasn't very good, it looked like the timing was all off, so they were never going to be able to beat us through the air, even though they were better in 2017 than they were in 2016. With this information in mind, our coaches decided to play a lot more cover 0 in this game than they did in most of our other games. And we can see right here, all 11 defenders are visible in the frame, there aren't any deep defenders, and our defensive backs are all manned up on their wide receivers. When we're able to account for all of their receivers with defensive backs in man coverage, this is going to let us leave all of our linebackers in the box and give us great numbers for stopping the run. When we can keep all of our linebackers in the box like this is going to let us use these wide outside linebackers on the edge as force players to contain the ball. Now because they're out there on the edge, this is going to let us pull our defensive ends down inside to cover up the guards. So in a normal 3-4, our defensive ends would be lined up farther outside over the offensive tackles, protecting the linebackers who are behind them. But now because we have the outside linebackers on the edge, we can pull down those defensive ends into a bare front. Now, because these defensive ends are lined up in a gap instead of directly over the offensive tackles, that's going to give them space to shoot through those gaps and get into the backfield to cause disruption, as Rusty Becker does on this play. Because we played so much cover 0 in this game, this penetration was a benefit that we were able to get all night, and James Looney in particular had a big game, getting into the backfield and making a lot of tackles for loss. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to check back in 2 weeks when I'll be talking the big game. Until then, go Bears!